So if I go here to teams, what I can do is I can create a team for anyone that's completed the SDI assessment. So a little bit earlier today, I created this demo team and I added some individuals here, and it provides me this view for my team. So if I'm leading a team in a virtual world, it's a great way to have this visible to remind each of us what's important to each one of us. And as we look at this portrait here, we've got a pretty equal distribution, right? One area that might be lacking is this blue and this blue-green area, which is that primary motive of growth development for people to develop some of that self-sufficiency in others, okay? We've got on this team people that are really driven around performance and driving for performance for the betterment of other people, this red-blue area here, okay? You might be wondering about this middle area. We call this the hub. If your results end up in the hub, generally what we see is what's important to individuals. They're trying to satisfy those three primary motives of people, process, and performance pretty equally. And generally, people that have that hub motivational value system really appreciate flexibility, collaboration, getting input from other people because they're trying to satisfy those motives of pretty equal weight. Okay. Um, so you can look at it with your dots. You can look at as your team grows, your percentages. And in the conflict piece, again, understanding if we've got an important topic that is a little bit controversial and we need to make progress and make some decisions on Thursday, as an example, I can be aware of what is important to each people, of each individual on the team, right? In this example here, we've got, Victoria and Chloe that first stage of conflict is to assert. So they may bring things up that are a little bit controversial because they want to solve it quickly, maybe to get back to work because that performance drive is so important to them. But we've got other people that really want to analyze that situation. So perhaps there's some things that I can take ownership for to get them information and background in advance so that they come best prepared to make some decisions in that meeting on Thursday. Cassie or Josh, anything you guys would add?
Just Craig, the application of the team side of things. So obviously, the conversations we're having now with our clients in Australia is they're seeing a lot of value in this around just looking at team composition and looking at is the team optimized or general team performance, and looking at this going, if we've got a high proportion of high red with little around people and I guess process component. That's a lot of the conversations I'm having at the moment, and I know Jeff is as well. How are you seeing this being used within other organizations over the time that you've applied this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good question. So the SDI is not a predictor of success, right? Just because someone's motivated and driven by performance doesn't mean they're always going to hit their targets, right? They're driven by that, but um, perhaps maybe they lack on sustainability tools or developing a process so that results can be sustained. But it gives you a good indication of where people are coming from so that you can get a good balance on your team, right? And in this example here, right, as we look at what's important to people, we don't necessarily have a lot of people that have that blue people drive or that blue green, which is really about that self-sustainability, right? And if that's important to us, what can we do to be mindful and appreciative that as we move forward as a team, how can we develop some systems, some processes to develop that self-sufficiency, making more awareness to that. Another good example is that oftentimes, as I mentioned, people that have, you guys have it here too, Cassie and yourself, Josh, right? Josh, you're a hub, and Cassie is red blue, but she's really close to that hub, right? So Cassie really wants to help others achieve what's possible. She does it in a very collaborative, flexible manner. And for you, Josh, you're leaning towards that red and red blue also. And because you're centered in that hub, that flexibility, collaboration, maybe getting input from other people is also important to you. Okay. Um, Being aware of that is important. One of the challenges with people that have that hub motivational value system is we might be slower to make decisions, right? Because we're looking for, well, maybe best idea wins. Have we gotten as much input from everybody? Maybe there's one more idea out there, right? So you can be more aware of the intentionality, but some of the challenges that might come with it, right? So
And I like looking at the strengths portrait for that too, Craig, to answer this question. Is that where you're going?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you look here, this is team of 7 that we put here. It provides the composite view of this team. So in those top 3 lines, those top 6 strengths, these are the strengths that this team is going to bring to work every day pretty easily, not thinking much about it. Okay. So the caring, the helpful, fair, inclusive, self-confident, and open to change. Right. Um, but maybe we're working on a new policy or some new software, and it's important for people's safety reasons that everyone adhere to the new policies. And if we need this team to be a little bit more forceful or persuasive, we've got visibility that those strengths might not come up as natural and easy for this team. Right? So making some awareness, providing some visibility, and providing some positive compliments when people are using the right strengths for those situations. Okay.
Is there any questions that anyone's got to put in the chat? Feel free to.
Absolutely.
We'll keep going, Craig. That's good.
Okay, I was just reading that. So the last part here, this platform, once when you get certified, really provides some great insights to provide the exercises and activities. This strengths distribution, we refer to this as how I see it. So if a team is going through a lot of change, right? You can pull any one of these strengths and look at um, let's see, maybe open to change is a strength that is important for your organization to be leveraging. It's going to plot where the team members have that strength in their portrait. So we know in this example, Lance, Cassie, and Victoria have that as one of their top strengths. But for Mark on the team, that's going to take a little bit more effort and intentionality for him to use that strength. Okay. And you can pull any one of these competitive, and it's going to show you the exercises and activities allow people to share what's important to them, how do they use that strength to drive results, and why for some people that's a little bit more of a challenge. And then that last part, which helps support the 4th view that we spoke about, is the overdone strengths. Okay. And so what you're looking at here is the team composite of this overdone strengths. Okay. Um, and what's communicated here is looking at the top again, the top 6 strengths that this team might tend to overuse if they're going to overuse them, and how people might view those. Okay. So if you look at, obsessed, it could be overusing analytical. Okay. Or that self-confidence done too often with too much duration or intensity could come across as being arrogant. Okay, and down towards the bottom here, these are the strengths that this team is least likely to overuse. Okay, they're never going to be so devoted that it would come across as being subservient, or looking at intrusive. They're not going to be so sociable, overly sociable, comes across as being intrusive for people. Okay, so this is the portrait. It does protect the anonymity. So if you wanted to look at a smaller group of individuals there, you could. You just have to pick at least 3 people. This overdone strength portrait also is available for each person to go through. and is a great way when you're onboarding people, when you're struggling with relationships, how overdoing certain strengths might get in the way of those productive relationships, or could be those conflict triggers for others. Okay. Let me just see. Cassie, you're getting some of these questions or any that we can answer? Okay. Um, so
Oh,
that looks at,
this is a good one, Craig, actually, and you kind of already spoke to it a little bit, but I think it needs some more attention. So is this able to help with reviewing your team at different levels to see if you have the right traits, or are you more looking for a mix of traits in all levels? So would you look for different focus from management compared to frontline staff, for example?
yeah, I think you would want to look at the motives. Again, it's not going to predict the success that people would have, but it's going to help you better interpret as people are growing in their development, what's important to them, what they value, and getting to know people at that deeper inner intrinsic level, right? Uh,
Yeah, and so if you're looking at a team similar to this one, where you have the triangle, you have the one blue person that's like out there and further away from everyone else. If you're the leader of that team, you might want to check in with them more because they might feel like nobody lives in their same world. The whole purpose of this is to be relationally intelligent. You're building your relationship intelligence with this information. So it isn't so important that you're covering all of the regions and you have a variety of the strengths available because we all have this whole strengths portrait available to us. We're just more comfortable with the ones at the top. The ones in the middle, we can bring if we want, like we probably do often. And the ones at the very bottom, those bottom three, we really do not like. They haven't worked for us in our life, just typically speaking. And so if you're looking at a team of people side by side and you're seeing, you know, what their strengths are, and you notice there's a big discrepancy between some of the members, you're not, that isn't necessarily good or bad. It's just awareness. It's saying, okay, so this person's caring and this other person is flexible, and neither of them have the same things at the top and the bottom. They might not understand each other if also their motives are different, and we can work with that. So this is giving you a way to work with lots of different personality types and behaviors, and ultimately create better outcomes together.